TV for this morning, still to come on GMTV. The religious cult, the Children of God, allegedly encourage its members to sexually abuse young children. We hear one woman's story, and we hear from the former cult members who don't believe her.
And on a more serious note, the Mail continues with its exclusive story of the Children of God sex cult, now called the Family of Love. A judge is to make public his findings on the cult after listening to months of evidence in a ward of court case. Officials from Scotland Yard said the judge's statement is awaited with great interest.
Well, the Daily Mail's revelations yesterday focused on the story of 18-year-old Christina Jones. Christina was born into the Children of God and says she suffered 12 years of gross sexual abuse before escaping. Christina's here with us in the studio this morning. In Britain, as Anthea pointed out there, Children of God now goes by the name of the Family of Love. The leaders of that group, Gideon and Rachel Scott, are also with me this morning. Christina, first of all, if we could start with you, why do you want to speak out about your experiences?
I have an elder sister still in the Children of God and other brothers and sisters that I haven't seen.
Yeah. You have been awarded £5,000 for the abuse you suffered. Will that in any way go towards easing your pain?
I don't think any amount of money will make up for the 12 years that I lost.
Just explain to people how you feel that you lost those years, how you lost your innocence. Tell us how prominently sex featured in this cult's activities.
It was very prominent. It was shown mostly through Mo letters written by David Berg.
David Berg was the leader of Children of God.
Yes.
Yeah. As a child, how many men were allowed to interfere with you?
I counted and it was about 25.
By what age?
Well, the age I remember was 3 until the age of 12.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of practices are we talking about here?
Just sexual indecencies, touching, kissing and petting, and sometimes the whole thing.
Mm. But that, I mean, life surely just wasn't all about sexual practices. I mean, tell me about life within the cult.
We were very secluded from the outside world. As a child, I felt very lucky growing up in the Children of God. We were the elite group, very protected from the evil system. David Berg badmouths the system constantly. He's very self-righteous in his preachings about his religion and his beliefs.
You're out of the sect, what, 6 years or so now?
Yes.
How have you adapted to life outside, in the system, as it were?
It's been very hard because I was always told the system was evil and it was the wrong way, and if I ever left the Children of God, I would be turning my back on the Lord, backsliding.
Mm. Well, let's talk to Gideon and Rachel Scott. Can you defend the Children of God, because you were members there, against the sort of accusations you've heard here from Christina?
Well, of course, it's difficult for us to comment upon Christina's particular allegations, because although she has been awarded this £5,000, these allegations have never been tested in a court of law. But her experience...
Surely there must have been some validity to them for a judge to make the award.
I presume somebody believes her story, and I cannot comment on this story because I don't know the details. Mm. But I do know that I've been in our group for 23 years. I have never once seen any sexual abuse of any child. And this is borne out by the evidence around the world of over 500 of our children who have been intimately and thoroughly examined by court-appointed officials, and not one single case of child abuse has ever been found. In fact, the evidence is entirely to the contrary, that our children are happy, well-adjusted, well-brought up, well-educated.
But Gideon, of
children.
course, abuse takes many forms. Now, we have some footage here which has been shot in one of your communities here. Now, this is a young child here, probably around the age of 12 years of age. What purpose does a young girl at that age dancing naked in a very sort of salacious way, what purpose does that serve?
For one thing, I wouldn't agree with you that it's salacious, but we have a very...
Why, sorry, just explain to me, forgive me if I'm somewhat naive, why would a young girl dance like that naked and be filmed for the purposes of other members to view?
Because we try to take a very natural and open view of nudity. That nudity is the natural way that God intended.
Right.
And therefore there should be no guilt attached to that. Now, it is a policy we have changed, simply because we realise that it is not necessarily appropriate. These films were made quite a long time ago, when I think society at large had a much more liberal view about sex, about nudity. I think we've moved right-wing
Christina, what
over
would
the
you
years.
Changed only for the public benefit. You haven't changed in your hearts.
I still believe that nudity is godly and good.
Okay,
I
let
don't
me ask you,
necessarily agree that it's something we should
Richard,
film.
you and Gideon are married.
Yes, that's
Is that
right.
married in the conventional sense
Yes,
that the
it
rest of us?
certainly is.
So
It
what, can
certainly
you
is.
tell me what
We've
your
also-
community's views on fidelity, monogamy, marriage are?
Well, let me give you an example of our marriage. We've been married for 23 years, which I think is a long time compared with a lot of people in general society. We have a very good relationship. I'm still very much in love with my husband.
Do you have other partners, though?
No, I don't have other partners.
Does your husband have other partners?
Well, what we believe is that within our communities, if people over the age of 18 should choose to have a date with somebody else
So
who's in the
that's a
age
yes.
of majority.
That's a yes. How young would those partners be, Gideon? And Christina's talking about
in
having...
our communities, we do not allow any interaction, sexual interaction, between anybody over the age of majority and anybody under the age of majority. Now, we do realise that in the past people have taken our liberal views on sex and taken advantage of them. And we have had ex-members who have been expelled from our communities because of this, and we have had a very strict code of conduct.
David Berg.
We have a very strict
He's the
code
one
of
that wrote
conduct.
it down in black and white in his Mo letters.
What's your view on David Berg? I mean, this man seems to have gone to ground.
David Berg decided to withdraw from our communities in
Do you now
1970.
disassociate yourself from the teachings
No,
of
we
David
don't.
Berg?
We still believe that he is our founder. He is somebody who has given us a great deal of spiritual leadership.
But there are those who would say he's nothing but a dirty old man.
There are a great many people who say a great many things about others. It is our religious conviction that David Berg has a gift of prophecy, in the same way as perhaps a Muslim believes that Muhammad was a prophet. Now, everybody may not agree with that, but it is our religious
What if people
conviction.
don't agree with the workings of your community? Are they free to leave?
Yes, of course they are. They're free at any time to leave. And I do really want to stress about this story that came out in the Daily Mail as well, that we contacted the Daily Mail 5 or 6 times asking them to come round and see us for themselves, because Dr. Eileen Barker, a sociologist, told us they were doing a story on us. They didn't want to come. Everybody knows where we live, and yet they say we're secretive.
Well, you've had a chance to speak live on national television this morning. Christina, Rachel has just said that people are free to leave these communities, this family of love, if they so wish. Does that comfort you in any way?
No, it doesn't at all. They're not free to leave when all their life David Berg has put into them fear of the system, fear of leaving, fear of what's going to happen to you if you're outside of this elite group.
And you will continue your campaign?
Yes.
Okay, Christina Jones, Gideon and Rachel Scott, thank you very much indeed.
Well, the time is 20 minutes past 7. You're watching GMTV.